is the newsroom.
This is the newsroom for today, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. We are broadcasting to you on E1 SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Venezuelan mastermind and 6 accomplices remanded over deadly gas station bombing. Court throws out bid to let police officers join trade unions. AG Nandlall hails ruling as frivolous case dismissed. Housing Minister Collin Croal warns that new squatting will not be tolerated as government accelerates housing delivery and regularisation efforts. Guyana marks 30 years of the Beijing Platform for Action, with national conference spotlighting gender equality progress and persistent challenges. And in sport, Sports Hall to be ready for FIBA Women's Caribbean Championship later this month, and Chief Selector Sarwan backs bold youth investment in Harpy Eagles squad. With the news, I am Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We start off by telling you that 7 persons, including the alleged mastermind of the deadly gas station bombing, Venezuelan national Daniel Alexander Ramirez Podemo, were on Wednesday charged in connection with the attack and remanded to prison. Podemo was charged with terrorism, while his accomplices were charged with abiding and abetting him to carry out the act.
A total of 7 persons were on Wednesday charged in relation to the deadly bombing at the mobile gas station on Regent and King Street, Georgetown, which resulted in the death of 6-year-old Soraya Bourne. They are Venezuelan nationals Daniel Alexander Ramirez Podemo, Alexander Betancourt, Johnny Budram, Jennifer Rodriguez, and Crystal Cruz, along with Guyanese nationals Wayne Correa and Ramesh Pramdio. Podemo was charged with terrorism. It is alleged that on October 26, 2025, with intent to threaten the security and sovereignty of Guyana or to strike terror among its people, he used an explosive substance at the mobile fuel station at Regent and King Street, Georgetown, resulting in the death of Bourne. His 6 accomplices were charged with aiding, abetting, and assisting in the deadly attack. Podemo appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith Magusti at the Georgetown Magistrates Court 1, along with Betancourt, Budram, and La Cruz. The 4 were not required to plead to the indictable offense. The court heard that Budram, a 27-year-old taxi driver, allegedly transported the suspects to the gas station hours before the explosion during what investigators believe was a civilian's operation. Budram's attorney, Mikhail Puran, told the court that his client had been hired by La Cruz, a regular customer, and had no knowledge of any planned act of terror. All 4 were remanded to prison and will return to court on November 12th. Meanwhile, in Court 6, the other 3 defendants, Correa 44, Pramdio 51, and Rodriguez 33, appeared virtually before Magistrate Alicia George. Acting on advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, the 3 were charged separately to face trial in the Magisterial District where their alleged offenses were committed. Correa, farmer and part-time mechanic from Pomeroon, Essequibo River, and Pramdio, a taxi driver, were represented by attorney Bernard de Silva. The court heard that Correa contacted Pramdio to transport 2 Venezuelans, including La Cruz, from Perica to a hotel in Metamirezorg. Pramdio reportedly completed the trip, was paid in cash believed to be proceeds from raw gold, and later returned home. Investigators alleged that Betancourt entered Guyana illegally with Podemo and that Pramdio later transported the pair to meet La Cruz. Police also revealed that La Cruz and Podemo shared an intimate relationship and that she played a key coordinating role in the group's movements before the attack. Correa, Pramdio, and Rodriguez were remanded 24. When heavy police security at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, The accused arrived in 3 vehicles, 2 transporting the men and 1 the woman. The female suspects were handcuffed together while the male defendants were shackled and handcuffed. Armed ranks of the Guyana Police Force patrolled the courthouse compound on foot and in vehicles, while civilians were barred from standing near the entrance as the accused were escorted in and out. Family members of the Venezuelan defendants waited across the street in front of a nearby church, and a translator assisted throughout the hearings. Investigators believe that the October 26 bombing was a planned and coordinated operation led by Perdomo. According to police, Perdomo entered Guyana illegally from Venezuela around 8 hours on the day of the explosion. Between 11 hours and noon, he and several accomplices allegedly conducted surveillance at the mobile fuel station before returning later to carry out the attack. CCTV footage reportedly captured Perdomo placing an explosive device near the gas cylinder storage area after being stopped by a worker when he tried to conceal it in a garbage bin. He then fled the scene. Police later recovered images of the explosive device on Perdomo's phone and clothing believed to have been worn during the attack at a house in Warjanujian Region 3, where he was arrested. Reporting for the newsroom, Sharda Bacchus.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Nandlall has welcomed the recent court ruling that upheld long-standing constitutional restrictions preventing members of the Guyana Police Force from joining trade unions or similar organizations. Speaking during the Issues in the News program on Tuesday, Nandlall said that the court's decision reaffirmed what has always been clear in Guyana's constitutional framework, is that members of the disciplined forces are excluded from certain rights of association due to the nature of their duties. The case, filed by Attorney-at-Law Darren Wade, sought to challenge provisions of the Trade Union Recognition Act and related legislation, arguing that they were inconsistent with Article 147 of the Constitution, which guarantees freedom of association.
And one of the limitations to the right of association is that the right of association, including the right to be part of a trade union, does not extend to members of the disciplined forces, forces. And that has been in our Constitution since independence. The GTUC never challenged it in all the years, but they persuaded one Darren Wade, Attorney-at-Law, to rush to the court to file this frivolity, trying to knock down provisions of the Trade Union Recognition Act and provisions of the Police Act that speak to the prohibition of police officers from joining organizations such as trade unions. Of course, I appeared along with lawyers from the AG office, and we made submissions and we pointed out what the constitutional position is. And the judge had no difficulty in dismissing the case and making an appropriate order in relation to costs.
We tell you now that the Minister of Housing, Collin Croal, has made it clear that government will not tolerate new instances of squatting, even as it works to clear the backlog of housing applications and regularize existing informal settlements across the country. During an appearance on the Starting Point program, Croal reaffirmed government's commitment to providing equitable access to land and housing, but he underscored that squatting cannot continue.
There's absolutely no excuse for any new squatting, absolutely none. Because of government's program that you have in place to address home ownership and the opportunity to have your own space, there's absolutely no end. It's a perennial issue, and it must stop. But it has to be done collectively, because the policing or the ensuring that an area stays safe or secure also is not only housing business. It's also everyone's business. We have said no new squatting will be recognized we have had a robust regularization program where areas can be regularized. Where it can't, then they have to move. So, for example, you would have seen us issue the final notice. For example, there's a stretch of land or a portion of land that is south of the Ogle airstrip that we're currently addressing. Then you also have the program of removing those on the riverbank of Demerara, the east bank of Demerara, all the way from Grove coming down, all the way down, maybe Horstelling vicinity. And that's an ongoing program. We have moved many of them. A few are still there, and so we're working to remove them. So those are direct programs, and maybe before the week is out, I'll be visiting Plastic City because that's another initiative to relocate some persons from there. So relocation is part of the exercise where we cannot in any shape or form regularize person within that area, especially if they're on no zero zone, or if there are areas of sea defenses. In Region 10 case, I always say it started out with encouraged squatting. Because persons were told, yes, go take in whatever land you see, land should be free, etc. And persons started to do this in a ad hoc manner. We have had challenges on areas where we are developing the infrastructure, and then you find overnight persons coming there. So we've had to strengthen our enforcement arm, and this we're doing for all the region in terms of rangers as well as for enforcement. And so in Region 10 case, we're addressing. But there are some areas that does not fall under housing. They've previously fell under NISIL lands, because most of the lands within the Linden area previously was on the NISIL. And then you have some on the Lands and Survey Commission, and those lands that are transferred from either of them, it comes to housing. So we're the smallest persons who have ownership for lands there. But we have committed, and we are addressing wherever possible to have regularization done.
The Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, on Wednesday participated in a national conference on Guyana's progress, achievements, and challenges in implementing the Beijing Platform for Action, the BPFA. The event brought together national stakeholders and international partners to reflect on 3 decades of work towards advancing gender equality. The conference, hosted in collaboration with the Embassy of the People's Republic of China and the United Nations in Ghana, commemorated the 30th anniversary of the BPFA, an international framework that has helped shape Guyana's policies on gender equality.
30 years, here we are. And we're trying to measure our progress. And we're also looking at what was achieved. And it was 3 decades of persistent, consistent work by advocates, including many powerful and outspoken women globally, that would have brought us to this point. Guyana remains a country that is consistently dedicated to ensuring that we achieve gender equality, not necessarily by 2030, I'm told that is an elusive goal, but soon enough, where women and girls will understand that they have an equal place and space in the world, and with that equal space and place in the world, their voices must never, ever be diminished. Today, I also recognize the remarkable women in this room who would have and continue to champion these causes that all led towards us having, among the countries who were there and who have since continued to work on this agenda of the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, continued to work so that we can see the kind of transformation, the kind of progress, and the kind of national infrastructure that exists in our country.
Now, much of the preparations for the 2025 general and regional elections were conducted with persons living with disabilities in mind, but the electoral process as it unfolded on September 1st still had shortcomings. On Wednesday, the Guyana Council of Organizations for Persons with Disabilities released its Elections Accessibility Audit and Observation Report. The audit highlights both progress and significant gaps in the accessibility of polling stations for voters with disabilities.
Based on the data here, we can see even though it's not we had about 2,700 polling stations or thereabouts, and we only audited 473. We can already see that most of the polling stations were on the ground floor, and about 17 point something percent were on the upper floors. The polling stations that persons using wheelchairs were able to access barrier-free. Inside the polling station, you also had the majority obstacle-free, where there are no obstacles in the way, or the hallways were wide enough to allow for a wheelchair to maneuver. So again, that's a really positive bit of information to note. A high percentage of the polling booths were low enough for someone sitting in a wheelchair to be able to mark their ballot independently and to put that folded ballot upon completion of marking their X into that ballot box. We are unable to vote independently and in secret because the options available to us, it's all dependent on another individual to mark that X. And you can only trust someone so much because you don't know for sure or for certain if that X will be placed where you would like them to put it.
Still to come, 300 police officers undergo specialized training to improve public engagement and boost Guyana's tourism experience, and the government is finalizing a deal for a major investor to build a full-scale golf course within the upcoming Silica City development. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Preparations for the establishment of Guyana's first law school are progressing steadily, with the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Nandlall, confirming that major groundwork has already been completed and that the project remains on schedule. During his weekly issues in the news commentary on Tuesday, Nandlall said that the clearing of the site has been completed, while architectural drawings have been submitted and are currently under review by the government's technical team.
This is a massive project, and the preparations are going well. We are finalizing an agreement between the government of Guyana and the Council of Legal Education. That agreement will be signed, but the fact that the agreement has not yet been signed is not holding back work. The site has been cleared, the architectural drawings are now have been submitted, and we are examining them and having discussions with the designers and the architects, and you have to have budgetary allocation done. So the process is going to take some time.
Now, 300 officers of the Guyana Police Force are undergoing special training in public engagement to strengthen the quality of visitors' experience in Guyana. The 6-part training session is made possible through a partnership between the Guyana Tourism Authority and Harpy at the Police Force Training Center on Camp Street in Georgetown.
A 6-part training session conducted by the Guyana Tourism Authority GTA and Harpy at the Guyana Police Force Officers Training Center, Camp Street in Georgetown, paves the way for 300 ranks to be trained. The initiative aims to build stronger connections between law enforcement and the tourism sector. It focuses on enhancing the officers' capacity in key areas, including visitor engagement, customer service, cultural sensitivity, destination awareness, and professional conduct. Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Suzanne Rodriguez, underscored the police force's role as the frontline ambassadors for Guyana.
When a visitor asks for directions, interact with a police officer, or seek help, they are not just encountering individuals, they are experiencing Guyana. That is the essence of the training you will receive. We want every police officer, every man and woman in uniform, to understand the key role you play in the tourism product. You represent security, order, and reassurance. People trust and respect you simply because you are in uniform. You are ambassadors of Guyana. This training is part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen the quality of the visitor experience.
Deborah King, the facilitator and owner of Harpy Training, said this program is necessary for citizens alike.
What is very important in our society also is not just to understand, but show empathy when you are dealing with individuals, because everyone is different. And so it is so important for this training for our young recruits to be on the same page when it comes to core value, presence, empathy, first impressions. I think this is excellent. And this time where we are pushing for tourism.
Police Constable Marvin Rajkumar expressed gratitude for the opportunity to participate in the training.
And I must say it's very much beneficial for us officers going to be exposed to the public domain now. And knowing that Guyana is having a booming economy when it comes to tourism, it is very much helpful towards us in interacting with the visitors and having a good first-hand expression towards them.
The Hospitality and Tourism Institute, which will be established in the near future, is also vital to ensuring a positive visitor experience in Guyana. For the newsroom, Lizzie Yearwood.
The Minister of Housing, Collin Croal, has announced that plans are well advanced for the addition of a full-scale golf course to the ambitious Silica City development project along the Linden-Soestdijk Highway. Speaking during an appearance on the Starting Point program on Wednesday, Croal said that the government is in the final stages of securing an agreement with a major investor for the facility.
So Silica City is much, much more than just homes for persons to be building. It's a city, as it's said. What we did during the last period, we would have commenced the construction for about 110 houses. Some of those are complete by now, and some in the various stages. So we call that we call that the phase one. We have an expression of interest that will be going out for phase two, for which I don't know if you recall when His Excellency spoke to the diaspora, and so that one will have that a focus there, and that's on phase two. So maybe within a week we'll have that expression of interest going out. So that will have that will have both houses, catering for houses, as well as for townhouses type and low density. So that's the houses. That's one aspect. You also have other amenities. So, for example, you have two other expression of interest that are out now that closes sometime in December. So we have, for example, the wellness village center, and then you're talking about for health, because for purpose for health. There's one that you're going to be hearing very soon on, because we are very near to completing the to be able to sign for the agreement. That is for a golf course.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the 9-hole golf course here. I'm talking for the full works. So we are engaged in a serious investor, and in fact, both sides, so from our level and that investor, we're finalizing the agreement. We should have signed by now, but I think they were doing some traveling, etc. But we want to be able to give ourselves no longer than a week to be able to be in a position to have that signed. So there's a golf course that is part of the amenity. So you will have health, you have education. You have a home. You see, there's a home we have advertised for an elderly home in terms of for as part of the focus. So there are different aspects of the city. Sports tourism is also part of the amenities. So your different aspects of Silica City that you'll see keep coming on board. And of course the innovation center too. So different aspects that keep coming on board and that we'll keep adding. We have a master plan in place that we are implementing.
When the newsroom returns, your financial, weather, and bridge report along with sport. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off by telling you that the Minister within the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, Stephen Jacobs, has reaffirmed Guyana's commitment to delivering a successful FIBA Women's Caribbean Championship, assuring that the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall will be fully prepared for the regional showdown. We're talking basketball, of course. Guyana is set to host a tournament for the first time since 1994, with the tournament scheduled to take place from November 12th to the 16th. In a media engagement on Tuesday, Minister Jacobs highlighted the significance of the event in cementing Guyana's status as a regional sporting hub. He stressed the importance of ensuring local facilities meet stringent international standards for the country to host such elite competitions. The preparations at the sports hall have been extensive, with a primary focus on meeting the specific demands of FIBA, the International Basketball Federation. Crucially, the floor of the sports hall has been redone, and this was necessary to carry out the removal of non-basketball markings for sport like volleyball, futsal, and badminton, as FIBA regulations strictly require only basketball lines on the playing surface.
Sports hall is actually coming along very nicely. The painting of the court, making sure that the backboard and the ring and so forth are in place, making sure that the washroom is serviced, and then also, just like Minister Charles Ramson spoke about, in terms of having the parking facility, that'll be ready. A back entrance also too. The fence to the front, that'll be in place. But generally, works have already, started. A technical space for the persons who will be here from the federation, from FIBA and so forth. So everything is in place basically. We're working very, very hard. I'm actually going to pay a visit again this afternoon just to make sure that everything is in place. Because one of the things that we want to make sure that all the facilities here, are ready for these major tournaments. And just like we had said earlier, we want to make sure that Guyana is obviously a sporting destination. And for that to happen, the facilities need to, be in order. And, we have a good maintenance program in place. So we're working very, very hard on that. And the sports hall will be ready.
Cricket news now. The Guyana Harpy Eagles have signaled a significant shift in strategy for the upcoming Super 50 Cup in Trinidad and Tobago, naming a 14-man squad that features 6 players yet to make their senior 50-over debut. The bold selection announced by the Guyana Cricket Board highlights a decisive move towards youth development as the Harpy Eagles seek to change their recent fortunes in the regional competition. Speaking prior to the announcement of the squad by the Guyana Cricket Board, Ramnaresh Sarwan behind the new look roster, emphasizing a commitment to developing the next generation of Guyanese talent. Among the debutants is the highly rated 16-year-old wicketkeeper batsman Shamar Apple, who earned his maiden senior call-up. He's joined by 5 other players hoping to make their first appearance for Guyana in 50-over cricket. And of course, the regional Super 50 will be held in Trinidad from November 19th to the 29th.
Not the standard that we would have liked, especially with the amount of senior guys and with the amount of experience that we've got playing presently. Nevertheless, I think with the guys who will be out of the squad, in terms of who will be unavailable, it allows younger guys an opportunity for the Guyana team as well. As we're trying to rebuild, we're hoping that these young guys will be able to pull through as well. So I think the bowling department will be pretty steady, especially when it comes to the spin bowling. I think our younger batters need to apply themselves more. Of course, you want to have consistency, but I think also when you're young, you tend to make a lot of mistakes. So I think the coach would have to do a lot of work with them. So we're hoping that we'll be able to come together and perform. They will be able to match their abilities. But we're trying to ensure that we have created or tried to create a big pool of players. We will have younger guys coming through the system as well, and I think some of those young guys will be given an opportunity, and hopefully they'll be able to gain experience while they play.
Now, West Indies took an early lead in the 5-match T20 series against New Zealand, emerging with a 7-run win in the opening game on Wednesday in Auckland. Set 165 for victory, the Black Caps were on course for victory at 70 for 2, but slipped to 107 for 9. Skipper Mitch Marsh then blasted an unbeaten 55 of 28 balls to keep his side in the contest, but Romario Shepherd held his nerves in the final over. Jaden Seals and Ruston Chase took 3 wickets each for West Indies, who made 164 for 6, with Shea Hope, the captain, making 53 of 39, Rothman Powell 33 of 23, and player of the match Chase 28 of 27. The victory puts West Indies on a 5-match winning streak in the format. They will look to continue with that in Game 2, slated for Thursday, while New Zealand will aim for a series-leveling win. Now, the West Indies assistant coach Ravi Rampal said the Caribbean side will look to continue with the momentum from that opening victory against New Zealand and get closer to securing a series victory in the 5-match series. Rampal said he was happy with the performance in Auckland, and the aim is now to build on that success.
We're very happy with our performance. We didn't have much time here, and coming and seeing how the guys, the energy that they put and the execution that they did in the match was really commendable. We always talk about when we go to countries to play, to adapt quickly to their conditions. We had the one training session and we planned around what we had there, and the analysts as well give us the stats on the ground. So we went based on the stats and our execution. Definitely, we're very happy with this win. I think the last time we won was in 2008. So we're very happy with this win, and hopefully we take this win and continue for the rest of the series. They're the home team, and they will come fighting, obviously. It's just for us to try to be consistent and try to execute in our plans as best as we can.
Now, the Australian Chief Selector George Bailey says that the squad for the first Ashes test against England deserves respect following criticism of the age of players. Only one player under 30, that's the 26-year-old all-rounder Cameron Green, was named in a 15-man squad on Wednesday for the series opener in Perth, starting November 21st. Before the squad was announced, the former captain Steve Waugh said that Bailey did not have the appetite to make tough calls to regenerate the side. Opener Sam Constas was the notable absentee, with Marnus Labuschagne recalled and Jake Weatherhead called up for the first time. Both bats are 31. Australia are the holders of the Ashes, while England have won only one of their past 10 series in Australia and none since 2010-2011. The 5-test series is set to end on January 8th. Now, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport has thrown its weight, that's a $3 million initial investment, behind the expanding KFC International Secondary Schools football tournament, vowing to take a seminal role in developing the competition into a regional powerhouse. Sport Minister Charles Ramsden Jr. highlighted the ministry's commitment during the official presentation ceremony in Georgetown on Tuesday, predicting a huge future for the Under-18 event, which recently confirmed teams from Brazil and the Bahamas for its largest ever edition.
Just like the Carifta Games, this tournament has the potential to do that for football, for youth football. And it's very important for the country too, because when we consider hosting tournaments, it now gives us an opportunity to show the world, the region and the world, the direction that the country is going in. So all of the people who are coming into the country now, they also get to experience the phenomenal growth that is being led by His Excellency President Irfaan Ali and the People's Progressive Party government. This tournament is one of the many tournaments that you will see that we will be advancing in the coming years.
We see a lot of interest in football, and to having it from the grassroots level and having an organization like Petra, who's been successful in organizing football, and now having a consistent regional tournament, I think it's very important. So we have a premier school football tournament here in Guyana, and that says a lot in terms of what we're doing for sport and what the government is basically doing for sport in terms of investment.
Additionally, Troy Mendonca, the co-director of the Petra organization, celebrated the unique collaboration, noting that the coming together of the private individual, corporate Guyana, and the government of Guyana to deliver a sporting event is highly significant for the Caribbean. The 6th annual KFC International Secondary School Football Tournament will take place on December 14th to the 21st in Georgetown, featuring 8 teams from 6 nations. The competition will be staged at 2 venues, the Ministry of Education Ground and the Queen's College Ground. This year features the debutants State School Monterio Laboto from Brazil and the Anglican Central Educational Authority, ACA, from the Bahamas. They join teams from Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Suriname. Guyana will be represented by the reigning champions of the tournament, Chase's Academic Foundation, who would have won a 2024 title in the dramatic 8-7 penalty shootout. And a secondary will also represent Guyana, and the final representative will be decided after the impending Republic Bank Secondary School League.
And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.